Is this something that you expected? And I suppose when it comes to the global economy, has geopolitical tensions in the Middle East replaced, I guess, the uncertainty of a trade war that was a theme for 2019?
Yeah, I think right now, certainly that's the case. I have to say, I'm a bit surprised. I hadn't imagined that the Iranians would do something like this. We did, though, hear from the supreme leader yesterday saying that he wanted Iranian forces, national forces, rather than sort of proxy militias in Iraq and elsewhere, to carry out the revenge attacks. And now we've seen it. So far, seemingly medium-range ballistic missiles, which fired from Iran proper, which I think is also an important escalation. Hopefully, though, the distance traveled should have, if sort of early warning systems were working properly, should have given troops at these bases maybe sort of 5 to 10 minutes warning that incoming missiles were approaching, and therefore they should have had a chance to perhaps go into shelters and other things. So we don't know about casualties yet, but that will obviously be the key issue here, and then we'll have to wait for President Trump's response. But I think there is a possibility that this, if you like, lets off some steam on the Iranian side, while if casualties are either non-existent or low, the Trump administration will say, okay, we won't escalate further, but we'll have to see.
That's a fairly, I guess, sanguine or even optimistic look at how you think this might play out. I mean, is there a sense that we've seen the reaction on markets at the moment responding to this news? Is there a sense that, again, we'll see investors and market participants take a step back and think, well, geopolitics, political uncertainty, even this at this level has been kind of pretty standard over the past couple of years?
I mean, I think you're right. This is the optimistic spin on this. There is another possibility, which is that Trump launches a very large-scale attack on Iran proper and then starts a real war. I continue to believe that is a low probability. Because I think when you're sort of analyzing this attack, it seems from preliminary numbers of missiles, etc., that this is not the kitchen sink that the Iranians have thrown. This is sort of an attempt at a pinpoint strike with a relatively limited number of missiles. So, indicating that what they have, but not an all-out escalation. Okay. So one can hope that that signal will be taken. And, of course, the fact that it was in Iraq rather than sort of U.S. bases elsewhere in the Gulf.
So, Jacob,
also, yeah.
Jacob, when you look at the Middle East, Iran really, right after the killing of General Soleimani, was saying, hey, if you side with the U.S., you're in trouble. So they've already proven that with Iraq. When you look at the Middle East, when you look sort of at the balance of power, Iran has been feared by many countries. What does this do to that, all those tense relationships?
Well, I mean, so far it hasn't really done much. If anything, you could argue that actually the Iranian regime from, say, a week ago has probably been strengthened, because a week ago they were facing dramatic demonstrations in Iraq against Iranian influence in the country. They were facing, they had to launch a very draconian crackdown on protesters inside Iran, where allegedly up to hundreds of people were killed. Now all of that is more or less forgotten.
Jacob,
and the Iranians now have a martyr. They have essentially the distraction that they needed from all their earlier problems.
What about relationships within Europe, the NATO, the relationship with the United States? Germany pulled some troops out, but Germany is hardly a major military force or power in Europe, in the Middle East. How do you think this is affected?
No, I don't think, Germany is not the bellwether here. The bellwether here is obviously the French and the British. So we will have to see how this develops. But again, I think I would like to note that seems to be an attempt by Iran to localize this really being about American troops in Iraq. They could have launched these missiles against the American bases anywhere in the Middle East, but they chose Iraq. And I think that shows that they would actually, their sort of strategic goal here is probably to get the Iraqi government to, make a political announcement that they want the U.S. troops to leave. And if that happens, well, then you will see the Europeans leave as well, in my opinion. But so far, the European response has been essentially to take a back seat and wait what happened while sort of, basically urging de-escalation, et cetera, which obviously has not happened.